All right, hello and welcome to this training. As you can see from the title, what we're going to be covering today is skill stacking mastery. And as you can see from the overview, what we're going to be talking about more specifically is first the foundation of skill stacking, strategic selection of skills, rapid acquisition and application, synergistic multiplication of skills, building your digital talent empire, anti-fragile future-proofing, the review, and then your action items for the day or the next few days. So without further ado, let's talk about the foundation of skill stacking. So you most likely grew up surrounded by people parroting the same old gospel, which is to pick one skill, pick one thing, and just master it. And they told you that the path was narrow and straight and that specialization was the only way to win. And that's not just outdated nowadays, it's pretty much dangerous. The world you're in is unpredictable and it moves at the speed of code and culture, and new tech, new markets, new threats, and new opportunities appear seemingly overnight. And if you're relying on a single trick, you're setting yourself up to get blindsided. Today, the fastest path to real leverage is to stack complementary skills, not to obsess over perfecting one lonely specialty. The truth is, entire careers and industries can really vanish with a single update, a viral trend, or an algorithm change. The safe bet of being a one-skill wonder is really an illusion. And the people who win today are the ones with layers, people who blend skills and create new value from unexpected angles. If your whole identity and income are tied to one skill, you're pretty much fragile. You can't pivot, you can't recover quickly, and you're at the mercy of changes you can't really control. There's always someone younger, faster, or cheaper right behind you, and if your edge is thin, you lose it the moment someone hungrier shows up or when a tool automates your quote-unquote superpower. And remember, if you're old enough, if you remember Blockbuster, Kodak, and BlackBerry, those were giants that got toppled because they couldn't adapt, not because they didn't have mastery. So skill stacking is how you bulletproof yourself. This is how you build a foundation that lets you weather any storm, jump on any trend, and pivot before everyone else even knows what's really happening. And it's not about being a jack of all trades and a master of none. It's more so about being a master of combinations. So to explain it better, imagine you're building a group chat from scratch. At first, it's just you. Nothing's really happening. No conversation, no energy, just you really staring at the screen. And unless you really like talking to yourself, it's most likely pretty boring. Now, if you add a second person, now you have a conversation going. You add a third person and suddenly the room comes alive. There are now multiple conversations possible. For example, you and friend A, you and friend B, friend A and B together without you, and even all three of you together. The possibilities multiply with every single new person you add, not just by one, but by a lot, and they multiply exponentially. This is what's called the network effect. Each new person added to the chat doesn't just bring one new conversation, they actually multiply the energy and possibility of the whole group. With 3 people, you've now got several possible threads. With 4, it kind of gets wild. Add 5, and the number of connections really explodes. And just as you can see in the image, this is basically what the network effect looks like. Now, if you swap out people for skills, you understand where this is going. One skill, you're stuck playing with one set of possibilities. Add another skill, and now you have more ways to basically solve problems, more ways to attack challenges, and more ways to earn, create, and connect. Add a third, and you're off to the races. The ways those skills mix and match are basically endless. You go from okay to unfair advantage in record time. And you're not just a coach anymore, for example. You're now a coach who can write sales copy, close deals, shoot videos, and build systems. You're not just a designer, you're a designer who can build funnels, automate workflows, and persuade through words. So people with just one skill keep hammering at the same locked door. You, on the other hand, are going to be the person with a ring of keys. So the magic isn't in really having 3, 4, or 5 disconnected skills. It's the unique combinations you make and how each skill multiplies the effectiveness of the others that matters. You become the only person in the room who can connect the dots in your way. Think about mixing colors, for example. Red, blue, yellow, a bit boring on their own, but if you blend them together, now you get every color in the rainbow. Most people are mixing paint with basically one color and wondering why their canvas looks flat. And that's the true network effect. You're not just adding, you're now multiplying your potential. You're making yourself uncatchable because you see and create opportunities that others can't even spot. And you land deals, solve client problems, and build audiences in ways the specialists can't even understand. And if one skill goes out of style, well, you have 5 others to lean on. You're basically antifragile. So once you internalize this, you'll stop thinking in boxes. You'll see opportunities everywhere because you're never limited by just one approach. You can blend copywriting with psychology, coaching with tech, sales with automation, and you can pivot your offer, your business model, or your entire career on a dime, basically, and nobody can really keep up with you. You become the one person who can jump into any trend and dominate because you have the right mix of skills, not just depth in one. When the world changes, you change with it, and everyone else is stuck in traffic. You, on the other hand, take the side roads. If you ever want to break out in a new market, you build a personal brand or launch a new service, you have all the tools you need in-house, at least until you're overworked, and then you might have to hire some people, or when you get a ton of clients. So here's the twist. Stacking doesn't mean you have zero depth. It really means that you have depth in connections. Instead of digging one deep hole, you build a network of tunnels, each one giving you access, insight, and the ability to move unseen while others are trapped in a single trench. You see opportunities nobody else sees because you understand how disciplines intersect, and problems that seem hard for others kind of look simple to you now because you have more tools and perspectives. So you can always reinvent yourself or your offer without really losing any momentum. Now, every skill stack starts with a base, and your base skill is your trunk, your home base, your anchor. Everything else branches out from there and makes the whole system stronger, more dynamic, and more unique. So start with what you already have going for you. What's the one thing that people praise you for? What do you lose hours doing because you actually enjoy it? For example, if you enjoy reading and learning more about health and fitness, that's a clue. What have you already sunk time into? That's your trunk. Don't overthink it and don't wish it was something else, at least not for now. People usually ask you for help with your base skill before you even realize it's valuable, because a lot of the times people's base skill seems pretty easy to them. And for one reason or another, people have this misconception that if something comes easy to them, then it's not valuable for one reason or another. Now, if it feels easier, lighter, and almost unfair compared to the other skills that you might have, that you might be struggling with, then that's a clue as well. This isn't about being the best. It really isn't. It's about finding your unfair edge and using it as a launchpad. This is what everyone has done. Next, you basically scout for the best possible branches to add. Don't just grab random skills. Look for the ones that amplify and multiply your base. These are your force multipliers. Now, for example, if you're a fitness coach, stacking digital marketing and video editing makes you a brand, not just a trainer. If you're a writer, stacking sales psychology or copywriting and funnel building makes you now a revenue generating machine. Every new skill doesn't just sit in your pocket. It actively multiplies the value and earning power of every other skill you have. And if you're planning on building a business or anything online for that matter, you will have to build and learn other skills regardless. So you might as well take control of that first. Now, being good enough at 3 or 4 skills will take you farther, faster, and higher than 99% of the world's single lane obsessives. And the idea is combinations, not isolated mastery. So stop asking yourself, how do I become the world's best at X? And start asking, what weird, powerful combination could make me unstoppable and irreplaceable? And don't worry, over time, with enough patience, with enough work, with enough learning and implementing, eventually you will become one of the best at X, regardless of the combinations. But now you'll also have the combinations next to it. So most people grind away for decades to become a name in one narrow field, which you might still become. It's not one or the other. Those aren't mutually exclusive. You leapfrog them by stacking 3 or 4 skills to 80% and then mixing them in ways nobody else even imagines. You learn faster because you only need to really get good enough to play the game, not to be perfect. And you don't have to wait a lifetime to become world class. You just need to connect the dots better or faster. So, in turn, you become flexible, unpredictable, and always in demand because you're not easy to label or copy. And if someone tries to box you in, You basically jump out and hit from another angle. You always have something else to offer, even when the markets dry up or trends flip. And you can walk into any room, spot the missing link, and take charge because nobody else has your combination. You go from new market to new market, from one platform to another, always relevant, always dangerous. And you create your own category instead of really fitting into someone else's. The top performers in the digital world are never just one thing. They're unicorns, people who built their own recipe. Now, I know Elon Musk is not everyone's favorite example, and he's not the world's single best at engineering, storytelling, or negotiation, but nobody else alive blends them like he does. That's why he bends industries. So if you don't like the Elon example, just look at the top creators online, or at least the creators that you like, and you'll most likely see that they mix psychology, storytelling, writing, tech, branding, and business. And they own the audience because nobody else can do what they do in the way they do it. And if you look at consultants, the most expensive consultants can read data, pitch clients, design slides, and close deals. And they get paid 10 times more because they can connect the skills that others keep separate. Every week, you wait to stack, someone else is moving ahead, making more connections and building unfair leverage. The world, unfortunately for a lot of people, has zero mercy for people standing still. The sooner you start, the faster your network effect compounds and the sooner you can become untouchable. Every skill you stack now gives you an edge that lasts for years. So don't let perfectionism or some kind of indecision stop you. Just start learning and stacking. The people who don't stack are the first to get crushed by change. The ones who do are the last ones left standing. So once you see the network effect, you can't really unsee it anymore. Suddenly, the whole game shifts from what am I missing to what should I stack next and how do I stack smarter, faster, and more strategically than anyone else. That's exactly where we're going to go next. So let's talk about the strategic selection of skills. Now, stacking is only really powerful if you choose your skills with intent. You can't just collect skills like random souvenirs from airport gift shops and expect to end up rare. You want a combination that multiplies your value and gives you unfair options in the market, not a messy pile of disconnected tricks. Now, this section is basically about knowing exactly what to pick and why, so you don't waste years wandering through skills that don't really play well together. Now, keep in mind, for a lot of people, they might think that their skills of choice that they want to stack are disconnected. And most times, even though I've said that here, a lot of the times that's not true. So take, for example, some kind of a home services skill, such as plumbing, and just think about how many plumbers actually know copywriting. Not a lot. Why? Because they seem disconnected. They seem irrelevant together. However, imagine now a plumber who actually does know copywriting. Now they can actually write their website out the right way. They can write ads for themselves. And now imagine if they also add the skill of advertising, or at least online advertising. Now they know online advertising, copywriting, and, for example, plumbing. Now they can basically leapfrog other people in their industry because they have all these skills themselves. And someone like that can literally shortcut their business success by years just because they've learned those skills. And not only that, but they can save a ton of money. Not only that, but those skills can now help them actually hire the right people, because how do you hire? How do you know if somebody is a good advertiser? Well, the best way to know is if you yourself are a good advertiser, and when you go and hire an advertising team, you'll know what they're talking about and whether they're actually good or not. Same goes for copywriters. So your stack has to start somewhere real. Anchor it to your main skill, the thing you're already decent at, or the thing people already see you as. It's not about what sounds cool on social media. It's really about what puts food on the table and what keeps you curious and in the game when everyone else quits. So you need to be brutally honest with yourself about what your true base is. If you're always getting praise for your clear explanations, whether that's through speaking or writing or any other way, that's a clue. So if it's through speaking, then you know, I have the skill of speaking. If it's through writing, then you know, I'm probably going to be pretty good at writing if I actually start to hone that skill. So those are clues. If you can't stop tinkering with tech, that's also some kind of a base, or at least some kind of a clue. So don't base your stack on what you wish you were good at. Start where you actually are. Every additional skill needs to boost this base or unlock new levels for it. If it doesn't, then ditch it and look for something better. The best skills to stack are the ones that amplify each other. You're not just collecting badges, you're building a machine where basically each gear has to spin the next. Skills that naturally combine and feed off each other create a snowball of value that grows as you add more. So think writing and marketing, for example, or coaching and persuasion, design and branding, or social media and public speaking. These combinations don't just make you versatile, they give you literally superpowers. They allow you to shrink time. You want the kind of skills that, when fused, let you play in bigger arenas, solve more complex problems, and charge more money for them. Each new skill in a good stack should make every other skill you have more powerful, not less. That's the mark of a killer combination. So always check the real world before you pick your next skill. The best stacks are built for demand, not for daydreams. So if nobody's paying for your combination, you're not really stacking, you're stalling. You're just adding things to the pile of things, So scan the market. What are people actually buying at the moment? Where are businesses desperate for a solution, not just another body? And please, for the love of everything, don't let this be an emotional decision. Actually, go into the market and see what people and businesses want. The more rare your combo, the less competition you have, and the more people will pay you for it. Look at who's making the kind of money or impact or lifestyle you want and study which skills or stacks got them there. So you can also copy the proven paths before you to invent your own, or before you invent your own. And the best thing here to do is look at all the creators online or the people that you actually admire and look at what skills they had to acquire to get them where they are. And now you might be thinking that you're just copying people and so on, but you are a variable as well. And that variable makes that skill stack unique as well, regardless of the fact that you maybe copied the exact skills other people have. You are the variable as well here. So don't overthink your choices forever. You can't predict every twist in the road. Your advantage is in the speed and your action. So pick a skill that feels like a multiplier and give it a few months and see how it plays with your base. If it multiplies your value, then double down. If not, try to pivot to the next as quickly as possible. You learn more, and to backtrack a bit, even if you pivot, don't think that the skill you just learned and gave a few months on and spent a few months on will be invaluable. It might not be valuable right now with the current skill stack you have, but in the future, it might be extremely valuable. So for example, one thing that I really enjoyed doing when I was younger, in my teenage years, was just playing around with Photoshop and Lightroom and so on, and taking pictures actually with a camera. I enjoyed that from a very young age, probably from the age of 8 or 9 or so, from what I remember. I even took photographs with my phone just because I enjoyed taking pictures of things. And so I thought over time that, maybe this is just a useless skill that won't make me any money or won't make me any better in the marketplace. So I decided to learn a different skill and offer it to businesses, which at the time was advertising. So I started a social media marketing agency. And after I hired a few clients, or not hired a few clients, after I acquired a few clients, I started doing advertising for them, but I needed pictures from them of their place. So I went to restaurants a lot, so a lot of local businesses, and I needed pictures from them of their restaurants so that I can use it for advertising and so on. And it turned out that a lot of these places didn't really have good pictures. Now, me, with my camera and my knowledge of Photoshop, which might have not been much, but it was more than theirs for sure. At that time, I took that skill and actually went to those businesses, to those local businesses, and took pictures of their place and edited those pictures and made them look pretty so that they can attract more eyes on the advertising. And now that seemingly unrelated skill of just taking photographs and playing with Photoshop actually played really well with the advertising skill that I acquired basically over time. Now I wasn't just, an advertising agency or having an advertising person. I was a person that could come to your business and also take photographs and videos and edit them and so on, and use them for advertising. And I knew how to advertise and manage those ads. So don't necessarily think that if you learn a skill and you give it a few months and it doesn't play that well with your base right now, that it's invaluable or not invaluable, or that it's not valuable at all. It will be valuable most likely at some point, but maybe not right now. So you're looking for skills that will multiply your value right now. And when you find one, double down. And if not, pivot to the next. You never know when that skill might come in handy though. So you learn more from doing than theorizing. So test small, offer your new skill to a few people, join a new project, launch a side gig, or make a sample piece of work. And listen to the response. Did people light up? Did you suddenly become useful in ways you weren't before? Did people pay you money for your skills? And look, remember, you don't need to marry your choice. You can break up with skills and niches, for that matter, that don't really stack well. So stack ruthlessly. Don't make this emotional. And don't just chase what the gurus hype up. Your stack is unique to you. The skills that light you up will stick, and the ones you hate will always stay at a very mediocre level. So look at what is unique to you. Look what you actually want to learn and what you're curious about. Over time, you might find that the skills that you actually hate, you only hate because you don't necessarily have other skills that you need to have before you actually love the skills that you hate. So you'll never push through the learning curve on something you secretly hate. So pick skills you could actually see yourself doing for hours when nobody's watching. If you're a natural at breaking down complex ideas, for example, you can stack that with teaching, copywriting, and video, not coding if code puts you to sleep. And skills you enjoy are the ones you'll stick with long enough to get dangerous at. So look at how people you admire build their stacks. The best creators, coaches, agency owners, or any digital product seller all have some kind of a custom combination. So for example, the person who dominates social media marketing isn't just good at outreach. Otherwise, they won't be dominating social media marketing. They blend outreach with offer crafting, persuasive writing, funnel strategy, sales psychology, and most likely advertising. For example, the copywriter who charges $10,000 per sales page isn't just a writer. They're good at writing, but they also stack direct response, funnel building, client management, personal branding, and most likely sales, so that they can actually sell those sales pages for 10,000. Now, the top coach, for example, is never just a coach. They're a content creator, a group leader, a marketer, and a relationship builder all at once. And people who break through do it because they combine skills nobody else bothered to master at the same time. And so most people waste years learning skills that look impressive but never really pay off because they don't multiply their main asset, at least not at that time. So random new skills are a trap if they don't plug into your base in one way or another. Every year there's a new hyped skill, so don't get distracted by what's popular. Get obsessed with what's powerful for you right now and what will make you more valuable in the marketplace right now. And if a skill drains your energy or pulls you away from your money or your money moves, cut it loose. Now, if you want to shortcut your selection, I would say focus on the Power 6 that basically amplify almost any stack. And those are writing, sales, marketing, storytelling, public speaking, or some kind of speaking, and digital tools or automation. Nearly every digital empire is built on some mix of these. Just look around. Writing is probably the most important one. Everything starts with words, from sales pages to ads to emails to sales scripts to video scripts to captions to offers. Everything starts with you sitting down and being able to actually put words on a page in a clear way. And the next one will most likely be sales. So as you might know, if you don't have any sales, you don't have any business. So if you can close, you'll never be broke. Marketing and advertising. Now, you could be great at writing, you could be great at sales, you could have a great offer, yet if you don't have any leads or know how to advertise or market yourself, well, then you're not gonna get very far. So knowing how to get attention and build buzz multiplies everything else. And marketing doesn't have to be necessarily paid marketing or paid advertising. It can be organic marketing. If you can learn social media platforms, if you can learn if you can become a master at Instagram, for example, you now know how to market on Instagram. You now know how to market your offers or businesses and so on online, even though it's just on one platform for now. The next one would be storytelling. If you can hook emotions, you can lead tribes. And if you learn how to tell stories, which humans are wired for to listen to, then you can obviously command attention. You can also learn public speaking, as I said, or some kind of speaking. This could be on video or actual speaking on stage. And this will destroy the shy competition, quote unquote shy, and put you on stage. And you'll have an advantage others don't have. Now, automation or some kind or digital tools or even AI is what will let you scale and clone yourself so you can do 10 times the work in half the time. And this is also, especially now, a great skill to have. So mastering even 2 or 3 of these layered on your core will make you unstoppable in almost any industry or any digital space, such as info products, agency, coaching, or even things outside of that, such as, e-commerce. So don't freeze up worrying about the perfect stack. The real danger is overthinking and ending up with nothing. So get moving, test combinations, and watch how much faster you'll grow when you actually build with intent. The real magic is about to happen once you know how to actually acquire these new skills without wasting years or burning out. So let's talk about rapid acquisition and application. So the whole point of stacking is really to build an arsenal, not to waste years grinding for perfection in every area. You win by getting good enough, fast enough to combine and use your skills before everyone else even finishes their introduction course. This is where most people choke, they freeze up, convinced that they need 10,000 hours to break in. That's not true. So you'll leapfrog your peers by learning what actually matters, skipping the fluff and immediately putting your skills to work in the real world. The secret weapon here is the Barada principle, the 80-20 rule. You don't need every tool in the toolbox. 80% of the results come from the first 20% of effort. So go for the critical basics in every skill and let everyone else stress about mastery, at least for now. You don't have to become a boardroom shark if you want to master negotiation, for example. You can just learn the handful of levers such as anchoring, silence, or closing, and you'll already be outmaneuvering 90% of the people you meet. Now, when it comes to writing, Hemingway wasn't built in a day. Most people never learn to write cleanly, clearly, and persuasively. So if you can nail headlines, structure, and storytelling, you'll sound elite compared to the wall of text most writers churn out. Now, when it comes to video, you don't need Spielberg's skill set. If you can cut clips, add captions, and keep it visually engaging, you'll most likely crush the majority of creators who never even try. Now, when it comes to sales, if you can learn basic objection handling, emotional drivers, discovery, and how to close the loop, nobody will care if you've read 30 sales books or if you can get them to say yes on the phone. Now, when it comes to psychology, you need to just get curious about what makes people tick, why they buy, what scares them, and what excites them. It's shocking how few even really attempt this, and it's the cheat code for every other skill you'll stack. Now, if you just collect knowledge, you'll also end up another smart but broke person. So application is what cements your learning and accelerates your growth. Now, there's always going to be a phase of learning and then practice or application. Or doing both at the same time. But this is what's going to really cement your learning and accelerate your growth. So get your hands dirty from day one. Build tiny projects, run experiments, pitch friends, record videos, rewrite cold emails, whatever gets your reps in for that particular skill. And let the world punch holes in your approach. The feedback loop is what sharpens you up. And it does it way faster than private studying ever will. Now, the first dollar you make with a new skill teaches you more than 100 hours of tutorials because you now know how to replicate that. And every project is a lab, so test, measure, tweak, iterate, and keep moving. You can always sharpen up later, but you can't optimize what you never start. So start first, start practicing, start applying, start implementing, start trying to get clients. The internet puts world-class training at your fingertips, so you don't need to enroll in a university to get good at anything, at least nothing that really is a digital skill that you can make money with. Every book, course, mentor, and breakdown is available online if you know where to look and what to skip. So pick the best summaries, distilled guides, and cheat sheets, and skip the bloated textbooks and the endless busy work that universities usually give you. on the other hand, you can join communities, join Facebook groups, Discord servers, Slack workspaces, find the people obsessed with what you're learning and ask for shortcuts, breakdowns in real world context, or just literally people have this need to, in community specifically, to actually share what they're learning. So just read what they're learning and you'll be able to shortcut your learning that way. Now, don't just learn from the winners, study what they don't do as well. So invert the learning as well. Find what's unnecessary and save yourself the pain. Now, if you wait until you feel ready, you'll also stall forever. So set a hard time block and pick micro skills and go all in for 1 hour at a time. Make skill acquisition a ritual of some sort. So turn off your distractions, block the calendar, and decide what tiny chunk you'll dominate today. So for example, just open Google Calendar, put a time block of 1 hour, and literally label it as learning sales or something, or practicing my sales script. And stack your hours over weeks and months and a year of this, and you'll have more skills than the people who study for years and never ship. Each new skill makes it easier and faster to pick up the next, and the flywheel gets stronger, not weaker. So you'll go 10 times faster if you have someone holding your feet to the fire, even if it's just a peer, a mentor, or a public post where you show your progress. So team up with someone learning the same skill, or a friend, and raise, challenge, and critique each other. Or even find a friend who's learning a different skill and just challenge and critique each other that way and learn together. You can also invest in a coach, one of the best things you can do, even if it's just for 1 or 2 calls. Their feedback will cut your learning curve in half and most likely will give you a lot of direction. Finally, you could also post your progress online and build in public or share with your audience. You'll never want to look stupid in public, so you'll most likely work harder. And even if you look stupid in public, it will most likely be a learning experience that you can then use in whatever you're learning. So don't just focus on isolated skills as well. So practice combining them as soon as you're even slightly dangerous in both. The whole point is to create synergy, not just to fill up your LinkedIn. So take your basic writing and pair it with new sales chops. Write your first sales letter. Mix psychology with public speaking. Give a persuasive presentation on Zoom. Blend design with content and build a landing page and see if people click. The more you combine, the more unique your output, and each project gives you a playground to connect dots others don't even know exist. And release what you make, even if it's rough, even if it's not the best, that's most likely better. Speed trumps polish at this stage, so feedback from real-world results will beat theory every single time. Now, nothing replaces sheer volume of reps. As you know, Alex Ramosi really likes to say volume negates luck. So every new attempt is a stepping stone. You're not just stacking skills, you're stacking proof that you can do what most people only talk about. And that seeps into your identity. So build the muscle of showing up, doing the work, learning, and repeating. Skills are earned by sweat, not by reading and learning alone. And track your progress, see what's working, double down on the combos that get result. And the more you do, the get results, and the more you do, the easier it will get. Every finished project will increase your confidence and your market value. Now that you know how to get good fast, the next play is really learning how to link those skills so tightly that your value multiplies every time you add a new one. And this is where the real power starts compounding and where you begin to see yourself playing at a different level than everyone stuck in specialist mode. So let's talk about the synergistic multiplication of skills. So obviously, stacking skills is where things go from incremental to exponential. The power isn't in just adding a bunch of talents side by side, it's in how those talents fuse, multiply, and unlock opportunities you couldn't have planned for. So this section is more so about moving from scattered ability to unstoppable combinations. And if you get this right, you'll look back in a year wondering why you ever played it so safe. So the best skills don't just coexist, they spark each other to new heights. When you blend 2 or 3 well-chosen skills, each one doesn't just add its own value, it amplifies what the others can do. And suddenly you're producing results and insights that nobody else in your market can really touch. So think about a copywriter who understands sales psychology. Their words don't just sound pretty, they make people reach for their wallet. Toss in some basic funnel strategy and suddenly their writing isn't just persuasive, it's profitable. Now, if you look at a coach who can shoot videos, edit them, and push them with killer hooks, Well, they're not just waiting for referrals, they're actually now building an audience, automating trust, and multiplying their revenue every single month. Some of the best ideas in business come from slamming together skills that seem totally unrelated. Storytelling plus data analysis gives you basically viral content backed by numbers. Design plus automation turns static assets into income streams that never really sleep. So when you reach the synergy zone, your competitors don't or can't keep up, even if they try to copy you. Why? Because your stack is unique. No one else has your exact blend, your voice, your fingerprints on every project. As I said earlier, you are also a variable here. So if you stack sales, marketing, automation, and speaking, you become the person who can write their own ticket. Jobs, clients, deals, and partnerships basically come to you. Everyone else is fighting for the same copywriter or coach gigs, and you invent your own game and play by your own rules. Even when others try to imitate you, they fall short because they don't have the years of trial, error, and unique perspective that shaped your specific stack. Even when people try to imitate your videos, they can't really do it. So synergy isn't just a solo play. When you combine your rare stack with the stacks of other high performers, you unlock even higher levels of possibility. If you're a marketer who teams up with a tech expert and a content creator, you can launch offers and build ventures faster than any person could alone. So join groups where everyone has stacked skills. Watch the explosion of creativity you get and the execution as people build on each other's superpowers. A community of skill stackers isn't just a network, it's a breeding ground for innovation and new money moves. And you can see that a lot in places like Silicon Valley, for example. Now, when you have a blended stack, you attack problems from angles nobody else can really see. You see patterns, loopholes, and shortcuts that single skill obsessives miss completely. A designer who also knows conversion strategy sees exactly where a landing page is leaking money. A fitness coach who understands habit psychology can reprogram a client faster than a one-size-fits-all expert. And when challenges hit, you'll pull solutions from multiple toolkits, weaving together fixes and ideas in ways your competition can't really match. So you don't waste weeks getting outside help or scrambling for answers. You can basically solve things on the spot because your skills talk to each other. Now, the world flips upside down every year. People who only do one thing panic. Stackers pivot, adapt, and win while everyone else is still figuring out what just happened. Now, if your main market dries up, you just switch lanes and keep going. You never start from zero, you just remix your stack and attack the next opportunity. You choose your projects, your clients, your market. You don't get bossed around or boxed in. And technology changes fast, but a good stack gives you endless ways to stay valuable even as the tools shift. And this is where you'll stop being a copywriter or a coach and become your own brand of rare. People can't put you in a box, and that makes you unforgettable. You stand out online because nobody else really sounds, acts, or solves problems quite like you, or even just thinks like you. And your voice cuts through the noise because you don't have to beg for attention. You're known for the results your unique stack creates. And your journey becomes an asset. People follow you because they want the map you've built, not just the skills you've learned. And as you keep stacking, every new skill will add another multiplier. You move from earning a living to basically building a legacy. And the first year you stack, you double your value. By year 3, you're playing a different game than everyone else around you. Your skill stack makes you money in ways you never planned for. Consulting, products, speaking, royalties, and deals you never saw coming. And your network gets stronger. Opportunities come to you. You get invited into rooms that were closed before, and you can now pick and choose. And you leave a mark because your work keeps evolving. Each stack unlocks new projects, new audiences, and new power. And when you hit the synergy zone, your career, business, and reputation start to snowball. And the next step is really learning how to organize your stack and build it into a system so you're not just juggling skills, but running a talent empire that runs itself. So let's talk about building your digital talent empire. So stacking skills is really just the beginning. If you want to actually dominate, you have to organize, systemize, and scale your talents into something bigger than just your own work. Most people stop at, I have a bunch of skills, and you're not here for that. You might have been here or at this place already. So you don't want that in the future. You want a digital talent empire, an engine that produces results, money, reputation, and freedom whether you're working or not. And this is how you go from freelancer or solopreneur to basically category king. Now, your empire needs a structure. Every skill you've stacked has to have a home, a purpose, and a workflow. Think of it like building a dashboard for your life and business, a Notion board, an app, a whiteboard, whatever lets you actually see your skills at work. So lay out every skill you own, make it visual, draw out the connections between them so you can actually spot gaps, overlaps, and untapped combos that could unlock more leverage. Each skill should serve your main mission. If something isn't moving the needle or opening up new lanes, then either fix it or let it go. And organize your stack into core skills, support skills, and experimental skills. Core is your foundation. Support amplifies. Experimental is where you test new ground. Now, an empire runs on systems, not willpower. So you need recurring processes for learning, applying, and upgrading your skills so you're never stagnant and always compounding your edge. So build templates, SOPs, checklists for every repeatable process, outreach, onboarding, content, pitching, product creation, all of it. And use tools like Notion or Trello to basically track every project, experiment, and skill sprint. Your empire lives and breathes on clarity, not chaos. So try to organize everything and leverage Zapier, Make, or AI assistants to handle the grunt work, or at least some of the grunt work that they're able to handle, so you're freed up to focus on creative moves and new opportunities. Now, your empire only grows when you ship, so execution turns your skills into assets, offers, and results that actually matter. So set hard deadlines for launching products, campaigns, or new skill applications. Nothing matters until it's really out in the wild, into the marketplace. Every launch is a lab. Collect feedback, tweak, improve, and relaunch. Your digital empire isn't a static monument. It's a living, breathing experiment. So record what works, what flops, and what surprises you, and build your playbook so every win gets easier to repeat. Now, your empire prints money because you build offers, products, and services that multiply your impact. So skills alone don't make you rich. Packaging and selling them does. So bundle your skills into some kind of a premium offer or offers, done for you services, coaching programs, digital products, retainers, e-commerce businesses, or some kind of a group experience, and always sell outcomes, not just effort. Build customer journeys that guide prospects from discovery to trust to buying, and let your skills automate relationship building and scale your income. And finally, diversify your revenue streams, at least to some degree. Stack one-on-one, group, digital, affiliate, and even equity deals or or businesses in other industries. And your stack gives you options no one skill player can touch. Now, coding is great for this because you can basically code multiple projects at the same time and basically, in a way, have multiple businesses at the same time while the skill remains kind of the same. So the market pays a premium for authority, story, and identity as well. So you want to be known for a signature stack, a category of one that nobody else can really fake. So craft a personal brand around your unique stack. Show up consistently with the same voice, themes, and positioning until people know exactly what to expect from you. And turn your journey, lessons, and frameworks into content that builds reputation and trust while you sleep. Finally, build an audience or a tribe or a mastermind or a community of people who value your perspective. Your empire gets bigger the more you share your playbook. So don't be scared of oversharing. Finally, true scale happens when you plug your stack into bigger opportunities, joint ventures, licensing, hiring, and even delegating the pieces you've mastered to someone else. So hire, partner, or mentor others who can run parts of your system while you move up to higher level work, and align with other empire builders whose stacks fill your gaps. Two complete stacks make for unbeatable synergy. And invest in or take a piece of projects where your stack is the missing link to massive upside. Look, your empire is your insurance policy. So when trends flip or platforms collapse, your systems, assets, and diversified stack keep you moving forward. No single skill or market can really kill your momentum because you have backup plans in every lane. And your empire grows as you grow. Every new skill gets mapped, systemized, and scaled up. And the ultimate win is basically having an empire that buys you your time back and lets you play, explore, and grow without panic or pressure. Once your talent empire is up and running, the real game becomes about defending it, evolving it, and making it truly anti-fragile, able to not just survive shocks, but come back stronger after every hit. That's where we go next. So let's talk about anti-fragile future-proofing. So, building a skill stack is obviously impressive, but making it anti-fragile is really what separates winners from the herd. You want a setup that doesn't just survive shocks, but gets stronger with every punch the world throws at you. When most people panic at change, you grow more powerful. So, in this section, you'll see how to bulletproof your stack, absorb blows, and turn setbacks into fresh sources of leverage. So, you never want all your chips on one skill, one market, or one income stream. Redundancy is your insurance policy, unless, for one reason or another, the skill, the market, or the income stream is really producing huge upside at the moment, and that's what you want to focus on. It's why you build a stack in the first place, to guarantee that if one branch breaks, then the tree keeps growing. So design your empire so that multiple streams are always running. If one gets blocked, the others keep you fed. When a platform bans you, a tech tool vanishes, or a trend dies, you can switch lanes instantly because you've already built out those lanes in advance. So for example, this is what a lot of people's argument on building an email list is about. Because if, for example, for one reason or another, you're building an audience on Instagram, and for one reason or another Instagram decides to ban you, well, you still have an email list that can still keep you fed. So it's never about luck. It's about stacking the odds in your favor so you never get caught flat-footed. So the world won't stop spinning. Every year brings new tools, trends, threats, and tech that make old ways obsolete. Anti-fragile players adapt on instinct because learning and evolving are basically built into their DNA. So schedule skill sprints, as we talked about, stack reviews, and personal audits. Never go more than 3 months without asking what's missing, what needs to basically level up. And fold every new skill into your system. Don't just learn, organize, automate, and deploy it where it counts. And finally, run controlled tests on new offers, platforms, and marketing angles. Most experiments will flop, believe me. The rare wins will pay for everything 10 times over. Now, the real superpower is how you handle chaos. Anti-fragile stackers are never afraid of turbulence because they just trust themselves to adapt, pivot, and profit from chaos. So treat every crisis like an unsolved puzzle. There's always opportunity. Get obsessed with asking, where's the hidden upside? What new skill, angle, or market is opening up because of this? And never fall in love with any single tool, platform, or strategy. Stay loyal to your mission, not to your methods. So also use stress, failures, and losses as fuel for your next level. Most people shrink from discomfort. You have to use it to expand your options and sharpen your edge. Now, true future-proofing means having a mix of skills, projects, and plays running at once. You become impossible to disrupt because nobody can really predict where you'll strike next. So run 2 or 3 offers, audiences, or business models at the same time. And what fails in one arena often succeeds wildly in another. Now, a huge caveat here. This is at least in the beginning. I'm not talking that you need to run 3 businesses at the same time forever. In the beginning, you might start a few different things and see which one basically aligns with the market the best. And then you focus on that. And then your skills, the skills you learn, the skills you stack, should align around that one thing, at least for a while, until you build that to a point where you working more doesn't necessarily mean you make more, because now you have people that you've hired, for example. We can go deep into this, but that's not the point here. What I'm saying is you don't have to run 2 or 3 offers, audiences, or business models forever and just so that you can't be disrupted. We're talking about starting like this so that you can see which one aligns with the market and then focusing your energy on that. And rotate your learning and focus so your stack always stays fresh and dynamic. This is how you avoid boredom, burnout, and most likely irrelevance. So also pour resources into skills and systems that have long-term payoff, not just short-term dopamine hits. Every setback is just a stress test for your system. So anti-fragile empires don't break, they recalibrate and come back even harder. When you take a hit, lose a client, get banned, or a launch flops, lean on your other skills and systems to pick up the slack. And document every failure and what it taught you. Build a war journal of sorts so that every hit you take is another lesson banked for the future. This is how people basically build business playbooks. The longer you stay in the game, the more unstoppable you become, because every loss is recycled into new leverage. And most of your most valuable lessons will come from failures. So make sure to write those down. Make sure to log them somewhere. Now, the irony is the fastest way to build an anti-fragile stack is really to chase discomfort on purpose. Seek out hard projects, new markets, and unfamiliar tools, and lean into what others avoid, and you'll always be the first to spot the next big wave. Say yes to things that scare you. Run towards risk when everyone else runs away. And most opportunities are hidden behind what looks like chaos or difficulty. When you get comfortable there, you stop competing. You start winning by default. And the person with the strongest stack is always the one who took the most swings, failed the most, and learned the fastest. So by building your stack for anti-fragility, you make yourself the most reliable, versatile, and unshakable asset in any room. The final step is really to step back, look at what you've built, and double down on the habits, mindsets, and systems that will keep you expanding for decades to come. So with that being said, let's go over the review. We talked about the foundation of skill stacking, the strategic selection of skills, rapid acquisition and application, synergistic multiplication of skills, building your digital talent empire, anti-fragile future-proofing, we're at the review right now, and finally, your action items for the day or the next few days. First, list your current skills, map out your stack visually, and highlight the connections, overlaps, and missing links. Then choose one multiplier skill you'll add this month and block time each week for deep, focused practice and real-world application. And then finally, blend 2 or more of your core skills into a micro offer, a project, or a piece of content that proves the power of your stack in the wild, in the marketplace. With that being said, thank you for being here. If you want to join the free community, the link is in the description, the first link in the description. If you want to work with me personally, then book a call from the second link in the description. Once again, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. And again, thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.